I guess I'm a first generation Canadian. My parents both immigrated from Europe, from Germany in the 30s. And I grew up in a little town of St. Gregor, Saskatchewan, on the farm. And economic times were bad, and I decided to exit farming and became a truck driver for a local livestock hauler. I did that for 10 years, enjoyed it very much, and that kind of led me to some of my passions with wood. I was given a kit the kids gave me for Christmas, and I was driving at the time, so I just put it up in the closet, and there it stayed for probably 5 years maybe. And when I retired in 2014, pulled this thing out and started looking at it, and actually worked on my desk in the office in the house. Yeah, and that's what got me started. And then I got thinking of all the different trucks I drove, and that's where it all started. The first truck is just a basic glued together model. The ones I do now, you can open the hoods, you can open the doors, you know, they're all quite functional, but everything is very fragile. So when I do take it to show people, it's always in a display case. Too many fingers I'd spend a lot of time re-gluing stuff. It's all done by eye, I guess. There's not a whole lot of measuring going on. Each one is a separate piece, so these are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 pieces now I've done. I have a nephew in Winnipeg that pulled a set of Super Beat curtain sides, and they were probably the most difficult to make. The trailers themselves were easy, but to stitch material onto these little wooden hoops. My hair is quite a bit thinner than it was. It took a lot of time and patience, but I finally did get it. I've never sold one. I don't know if I ever will. That's not what I do it for. What we have in front of you is a replica of a W900 Kenworth truck. I tried to duplicate it as much as I could. Like this one, actually, the hood opens and you can see the motor inside, and you know, the fan, the air cleaner, the turbo. I always wanted one of them long gear shifters that reached up to halfway to the ceiling, and the boss didn't want to splurge on that, but this one has the long shifter in it. So the cattle liner, this was the second item that I built over the last number of years. I knew them pretty much inside out, pulling one for 10 years, and got the pleasure of cleaning it out to load cows in the nose. It's called a counterbalance. You walk them in there and you pull it, and they're locked in, and then you can load what we call doghouse. Finish that off, put all your gates away, and then you load your bottom deck and fill the back end with 8, and you can throw your debris out the side. As much detail as I could put into it. Even the seat has the little replica of the buttons where your air ride seat works on. The dash has got all the gauges and everything. Where the back end obviously doesn't open up, but you can get into your compartments, into the sleeper here, or your jockey box down below. Just a little detail I really like on the truck was I made the little KW Kenworth logos on the mud flaps. Whenever you back up to a chute, whether you're loading or unloading, the first thing you got to do is open the tailgate. To make the tailgate is just individual boards, and I used fish line, drilled a hole through it and connected them all. The hard part was to get that first board to go up in there. I tried several things and ended up with just a little chip of wood glued in the corner, and it's just enough to tilt that board, and over she goes. My hand is too big to get in here, so I just modified it a little bit, and I opened that up. That way I can get my hand into the bull board. And you can open this gate and you can load your cows, and they go, like I said, into the counterbalance. They walk down in there, you lock it up. There's a pin on each side on the real one, and that holds them in there. The upper deck in the back is called the doghouse. I load that next. You put 4 cows in there, and then you can close that, and you can put 14 more on top. And you close your gate, put your ramp away. Then you would put 14 more down there, and you close the gate and flip the lid shut. That leaves your back deck closed up, and you put 8 more cows in the back, and then you can pull the tailgate back down. And then you got to take your boots off and your coveralls and put it back in your truck, and you're good to go. The first question people always ask, how many hours? You know, how many hours did it take? And I say, well, each one was a winter. I have a little bit of trouble with the back of my neck, so I maybe work at it an hour at a time, maybe. And I might only spend an hour a day, and sometimes you run into a roadblock, so you might leave it alone for a week. You know, some of my best ideas come when I'm laying in bed at night thinking about it. And then oh yeah, that could work. And then you go out the next day and try it, and yeah, it does work. This, a year ago, winter of '23, I decided to build a set of Super B gravel side dump trailers. You see lots of them around now with all the activity with BHP mine. The sides actually dump just like the real ones. The cylinders took quite a bit of time to figure out. To make the cylinder wasn't a problem, but to put a stop into it so it wouldn't come apart every time you tilted it, that took a little while. Just like the real ones. The cab tilts, there's a motor in it, you can see the fuel filters, the air conditioner, you got your exhaust up here, they had the air cleaner intakes up here, and most of them, what they had were all what they called a flat top. This was probably one of the last models I think that Kenworth made, and it's not quite right. They did have this part coming in a little bit, but I figured that out when I had it kind of made, so I just left it. There's gauges in it, just like the real, the toggle switches. You can even see the squirrel cage fans that they all had blown on the windshield. And then it had what they call a wet kit on it. There's actually a little replica of a PTO drive, and there's the reservoir for the oil, and that's your hydraulic lines to activate your cylinders. The wheels were the real challenge on this first one. Each wheel has 40 lugs on it, and times, do the math, 8 wheels, 10 wheels times 40, that's just the lugs, not alone all the inner working. And I decided that's too much time and too much frustration, so then I went to making these. I can make them in 5 minutes or so rather than a week. Okay, this is what I call a hillbilly lathe. I found it on YouTube. I had this electric drill, just a couple of hose clamps to hold it, and then the clamp here to hold it on wherever I set it down. But to make the wheel, I start with a hole saw. I cut it out, and it already has a 1/4 inch hole. So I just put a nut on that side, tighten it up in the chuck, and we're ready to go. That's the rough outline of the wheel. I would drill holes in it to make it look more real, and I also put a valve stem on it, but as you can see, that only took a couple of minutes compared to what I used to do. A lot of this wouldn't be possible if I didn't have a good wife that allowed me to kind of spend my own time or do what I want. And every now and then she comes up with a project that she wants built, and then we work together on it. She's got the ideas, and I guess I got the tools, and yeah, I've made her flower stands and different things in the house.
Are you an artist who's interested in appearing on MaxTV Local? Let us know at SaskTel.com/local.